Howdy, y'all. You're listening to Law Friendly with me, Alice Bale.
Go on, keep going.
Okay. Howdy, y'all. You're listening to Law Friendly with me, Alice Bale. And joining me is the scum-sucking, Hillary-voting California liberal, Kris and Alice. Hello, Kris.
Now that's an entrance. Oh my god.
We did it.
That's gonna be our intro from now on.
So how's things, you scum-sucking liberal?
It's all right. I'm surviving. We're in the future that liberals want, full of lots of girl-on-girl action and boy-on-boy action.
Girls love boys. Da 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 da. Pain of Salvation there for not Pain of Salvation. Fuck, what's the band called? Panic at the Disco. That's the one.
If you couldn't tell by that wonderful intro, this show is not about rodeos and herding cattle.
What is our show even about anymore, Kris? We started off as a humble history/modding podcast, and now we make dick jokes.
Well, it's not about herding cattle, that's for sure. Today's episode, we're going to talk about the big Half-Life news. Gamescom 2017. I have a mod to feature. I don't know if you do. And
I don't, but we can take a gap. We can take a break. And
we could do whatever you just said and finish it off with the Defenders. But starting off the big news, Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Dropped.
Yes.
Kind of. After a manner of speaking.
It was finally released in text form.
This is what we've been waiting how many years for?
10 years, I believe. 10 years.
It's been more than 10 years, surely.
Yeah. The graphics are a little bit on the
basic side.
I mean, yeah. It's not something you need a high-end computer to play, let's just say.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a recent release that I can actually play.
As long as your computer can run like Microsoft Word or even
Internet Explorer.
Yeah, Internet Explorer, that what's that, Notepad? As long as you can.
Oh god, I haven't used Notepad in years.
Yeah, as long as your computer can run that, you should be fine running Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
So, basically,
yeah.
What happened is one of the lead writers left Valve for the Half-Life series, left Valve last year in January, I think.
Yeah.
And he's just come out of nowhere and just dropped the outline for the plotline for Half-Life 3 or Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Yeah, and he basically just changed all the names to like really obvious code names. So like Gordon
I think
Freeman
Alex was Alice
Gertrude
at one point.
Fremont.
So
Yeah.
I'm in Half-Life 2 Episode 3. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
realized.
Yeah. He basically just gender bended a lot of the names, so it's really, really obvious who he's talking about. The first question I have is like, why now?
That's a very good question.
He left like what in 2016? You said it was
Over
in January.
a year ago.
Yeah, it was
Like a
definitely
year and a
while
half ago.
So he's kind of been sitting on this for some time. So do you think that it's just like finally he just couldn't take anymore? He wanted to like get this out, or is it something like where Gabe is okay with this? I mean, what's Gabe thinking right now?
It might be a contractual thing, like if he was under an NDA. I don't know if they have like a time limit on it, or his had a specific time limit on it, or something like that. Because like if an NDA that he signed expired, then suddenly, yeah, he could just go and drop it.
Yeah, but then why the code names?
I don't know. Actually, yeah, that's a good point.
Do you think
Pardon
Gabe
me.
is pissed right now? Or does Gabe
I
not
think
care?
Gabe
He's just
is
too busy
rolling in
swimming
his money.
cash.
Yeah, he's just too busy Scrooge McDucking it up.
It's like, go ahead and release that. It's like, there's nothing to be gained financially, so... Gabe is completely cynical. He's turned completely into a supervillain at this point.
He's just a cash cow.
Half-Life 2, please. Nobody cares about that.
It's only the one game that the whole internet's been after for the god knows how long.
Yeah, I've got this new Dota card game coming out. You know how much money that's gonna make?
for how little investment. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Think about the ROI here.
Think with your wallets, guys.
Yeah, that's the ironic thing. Someone mentioned this on Reddit, that Steam probably wouldn't exist without Half-Life 2, and Half-Life 3 doesn't exist because of Steam.
Because of Steam.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
what a world we live in.
the thing is, like, it's been so long since I played Half-Life 2 that I completely forgot the plot line. All I can remember is Eli getting killed.
Yeah, I had to watch it again on YouTube.
Something about aliens and space and science.
You remember the general plot. I mean, the Combine had taken over, and then at the end, one of those grubs. I forgot how he got killed. It was one of those grubs, like the Combine advisors floating and stick their tongue through his neck or something. It was pretty gruesome.
It was pretty in-depth Frenching there.
Yeah.
Is it Frenching where you stick your tongue down someone's throat?
If you stick it through the back of their neck, I don't know if that's Frenching. I don't know if the French are into that, but the French are into some kinky shit, so who knows?
Who knows?
It was weird because it was closure that I forgot I needed.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't played it in so long. It's like, oh my god, like, I needed this, but I didn't know I needed it. It was like, oh.
It's just been so long that it's, like, faded to the, like, back of your consciousness almost. Yeah. Like, you know that it's a thing that you're eager to come out, but at the same time...
You forgot why.
It's never coming out, yeah.
Also, before we get into it, I recommend everyone read the story. If you're a Half-Life fan, even if you're not a Half-Life fan. It's interesting, not just from a narrative perspective, but also because Laidlaw kind of breaks the fourth wall and talks about things outside of the game. But
should we skip to the final bit?
First I wanted to mention that it's closure, but it's also kind of not closure because
it's broad strokes.
Well, the Combine, they still exist. Like, the actions at the end of, you know, what happens is, like, you go on this, I guess, time and reality breaking ship, the Borealis, and you have this decision, spoilers.
That was developed by Aperture Science.
Yeah. You can actually see it in Portal 2, I believe. It's pretty cool.
You can see the empty hangar for it in Portal 2. And you get a trophy for it.
Yeah, and even though at the end you kind of, you know, destroy this Combine building, whatever, like, Gordon gets this vision of, like, the Combine world, and it's in this Dyson sphere, which is basically like a device that can suck, like, the energy from the entire planet, I think. But you see how vast the Combine influence is, and you see how futile their efforts were in the end, right? And it kind of leaves things open because Alex, it gets to escape with G-Man, and it kind of leaves things open for Half-Life 3, more or less. It doesn't provide an ending that's, I don't want to say satisfying, because it is satisfying in some sense. It is a bit of closure.
It's got a sequel hook to it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, if you can't get out the first sequel, why do you think that it's a good idea to set up another sequel?
Well, I think it's okay because I have a computer that can run Microsoft Word, so I'm all right. I can read Half-Life 3 when it comes out. When the adventures of Gertrude Fremont continue.
When were you, like, first introduced to Half-Life?
I can't remember. It was so long ago. Like, anything before 2010 is just a blur at this point.
Yeah. Like, my first introduction was in the heyday of YouTube machinimas, and for anyone who doesn't know, because it's not quite as big a thing anymore because the main company that capitalized on machinimas is kind of scummy, but basically machinimas is making movies out of video games with, like, its own voice acting and things like that. And one of my favorite machinimas used to be Freeman's Mind. So, like, one of the big jokes about Half-Life is that Gordon Freeman does not say anything at all. Freeman's mind is his internal narration going through Half-Life 1. And I used to think it was the funniest shit ever. And that was the first time that I'd heard of Half-Life. Because I'm a millennial scumbag.
Mm. But you're a hipster, so you like old things.
Yeah. Like, Half-Life is, like, such a perfect retro game. Like, it's on the level of, like, MGS1 and MGS2. Like, just so retro.
It's not
like, you
retro
probably
at
never
all,
heard of
though.
it.
It's like the opposite of retro. Is there a word for that? I mean, because it holds up today. You can see like the influence of all modern shooters based on like the Half-Life.
Oh yeah, it
blueprint.
was the groundbreaking
Yeah.
first-person shooter alongside Doom, was it?
Yeah, when I talk about going back to YouTube and watching the end to episode 2 again, it's like the graphics still hold up. Like they look really good.
Yeah.
Like everything looks really good. The environments, the NPCs.
The AI was pretty fantastic. I remember thinking of Alex, right? She's the only companion character at that point in time that was tolerable.
Yeah, she was pretty great.
Yeah, she just had fantastic AI because she didn't run in front of your bullets. Alex.
And that's why it's kind of disappointing in a way to get the game as a text game, more or less, because of how groundbreaking and innovative they were. I mean, think about that scene where you're on the Borealis and there's a gunfight and time and reality is shifting and you're like getting all these like, I don't know, it's like views from other dimensions. It's just all kinds of crazy time warping shit.
And you can imagine if it was brought out today, it'd be like Uncharted levels of spectacle, but with like really amazing innovative gunplay that obviously a lot of cinematic series lack. Like, you can imagine them combining it perfectly, and it's just kind of bittersweet that this may be the only way that we get the ending to the story.
Yeah, especially for people like me who have trouble with imagination and visualizing things that are text. Just being able to see it and be like immersed in that gun battle while you're on a time traveling missile, it's kind of pretty cool to kind of try and wrap your head around, but to actually have it and be able to see it and have a company that's been known for innovating and being able to deliver on those visuals. It's a shame that this is how we're getting it. So there's kind of like a mixed reaction, I think, on the internet of like half closure, half anger, and
it's just a shame that this is how this may be the only way that we learn about it. It's like if George R. R. Martin died tomorrow and the only ending that we get to the Game of Thrones series is Game of Thrones.
That's a whole nother animal.
That's another episode.
Well, that's almost like the opposite because he has to deliver on paper. Like, he has no one to blame but himself if that doesn't get done.
Yeah.
Whereas with Laidlaw, there's all this like bureaucratic stuff and corporate interests and stuff like that are getting in the way. And that kind of segues to the last paragraph. I don't know if you want to read that.
So we'll just read this bit out. Enough time has passed that few remember me, or what I was saying when last I spoke, or what precisely we hoped to accomplish. At this point, the resistance will have failed or succeeded, no thanks to me. Old friends have been silenced or fallen by the wayside. I no longer know or recognise most members of the research team, though I believe the spirit of rebellion still persists. I expect you know better than I the appropriate course of action, and I leave you to it. Expect no further correspondence from me regarding these matters. This is my final episode.
Yeah, and yours in infinite finality, Gordon Freeman, PhD.
Yeah.
Or Gertrude Fremont. But like some of these quotes, at this point, the resistance will have failed or succeeded. No thanks to me. So he's saying like,
I've left.
yeah, I'm gone. I did my best, but
My hands are tied.
yeah,
Kind of thing.
old friends have been silenced. Wow. I mean, there's like people on the creative team maybe who want the game
But
to come out
can't
and
because bureaucracy.
yeah, or they've fallen by the wayside. Yeah. I no longer know or recognize most members of the research team. So he, like, a bunch of new people are at Valve.
They'll more be Steam-based than development games.
Mark Zuckerberg is in the office. Who the fuck is that guy? Who let him in? Or no, wait. Does Facebook isn't involved with Valve? I guess that's Oculus.
Yeah,
huh?
they're with Oculus, aren't they?
Oh, so it wasn't
No.
Zuckerberg. Apologies, but yeah,
Same
there's a bunch
spirit.
of new people at Valve.
The
Some guy from HTC.
people who wanted to make games have gone.
Yeah. A couple
yeah.
businessmen who want to, like, talk about profit margins. But he says, I believe the spirit of rebellion still persists. So, like, the
They
spirit,
want to make the game.
Yeah.
I expect you know better than I the appropriate course of action, and I leave you to it. I think that's gonna because there is a
Rally the
there is
troops.
a pretty intense modding community around Half-Life, and I think people have been porting Half-Life 1 into the more recent Steam engine. I think
Right, there's like a Black
Yeah.
Mesa project or something.
And so maybe they're opening it up to those guys, to the modders, just like, come on, guys.
Or he's like rallying
Yeah.
the troops, like grab your torches and pitchforks. I do see some half-hearted efforts to like send Valve emails,
Yeah.
which does actually work in some sense, because if you remember the whole paid modding thing, Gabe responded because there were so many emails flooding his inbox that it began to hurt their bottom
Our
line.
Lord and Gabe, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, this is costing me money.
Like, go on, guys.
Stop sending emails.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Maybe we should do what they did to Scientology and just send load of black ink faxes.
Oh, yeah.
Waste all that ink. It is not economically viable.
What if they have color printers? Send like color ink faxes
Yes.
of Gordon Freeman or something.
Just rainbow printouts of the Half-Life logo.
Yeah.
Filling the entire page, page after page after page after page.
Bankrupt them, so they need to release Half-Life
Yeah.
2 Episode 3. Although now we already know the plot.
Yeah. They might have to work around and play around with it like they had to do
Yeah.
with Mass Effect, supposedly.
Yeah, like another quote that I thought was interesting was like a guy on Reddit compared it to the police calling you and telling you where the bodies are buried.
The police or the murderer?
Well, the police, because Laidlaw isn't the murderer, is he? I mean,
No, that's Gabe.
because until then
Maybe
you
it's
still
the
kind of had
police
hope.
being like, oh, wait, I hate all this cover-up. Let's just open it out to the press. Go, guys,
Oh.
go. Maybe that's a more apt analogy.
Yeah, it's kind of dark and depressing, but it is kind of apt in that you still had hope that the Half-Life series was still alive.
Yeah.
And you could still hold on to that hope, even though in the back of the mind you kind of obviously knew that it was dead. But
Yeah, this is the kind of...
when Mark Laidlaw, wrote the post, it's kind of like a nail in the coffin. It's like, okay, it's not coming out, so that's why I'm gonna spoil it.
Yeah.
Because if there was still hope, then he wouldn't have released it, right?
No, surely not.
Yeah.
But this is the biggest Half-Life news that has come out in like the last 7 years.
But all in all, just to wrap things up, it's pretty crazy that such an iconic franchise is ending with a blog post. Like, imagine if Sunday's Game of Thrones episode was just text on a screen. No actors, no fancy CGI, just words. That's not how things are supposed to go.
Yeah.
But as far as trilogies that are making a comeback, Gamescom 2017 released a trailer for Shenmue,
Oh
which
boy.
is a very old game that has a very big following and gets people very excited.
That has very uncanny valley animations.
Yes. Like, his face does not change. The character's face does not change at all. Like, whether he's happy or sad or maybe he's like crying, I can't tell, because
It's more than just resting bitch face.
those faces are from like a 1998 game. Now, I've never played the old Shenmue
Neither
games,
have I.
so
We're probably not the best people to be talking about this.
no. So I guess my question to you is like, okay, there's a game that you really love, like Vampires, like Bloodline, the
Vampire the
Masquerade.
Masquerade
Yeah,
Bloodlines.
the Masquerade Bloodlines. I fucked that up.
How dare you?
Yeah, they came out with a sequel, but the faces were all Shenmue faces. Would you be disappointed or would you defend it?
Depends on the writing. The writing is so good.
So you would still be like on that train where you're like, hey, give it a chance. Give it a chance.
Yes. Maybe. I don't know. Don't make me go through this, Chris.
Did you see those
It's
faces?
a very sensitive subject.
Did you see those faces? Oh my god.
Like I said to you over
graphics.
Discord, that's how I draw my eyebrows on. He looks like he's been looking into some like Instagram eyebrow tutorials, and he's just like, whoops.
Because for me, no amount of writing can save a game where you can't tell if the main character's best friend just died or if he just has like really bad brain freeze or something. In fairness, it is an alpha, so I don't know. Maybe the criticism will get to the creators and developers.
Maybe his eyebrows will shift.
Apparently, it's supposed to be like one of these really groundbreaking, innovative open world games. But what happens a lot of times is that like the industry catches up.
Yeah.
So unless it delivers on other things or expands on its previous iteration, I don't know. I mean,
is it going to
nostalgia
be
can only
worth
take
it?
you so
Yeah.
far. So Shenmue fans, apologize for laughing at your game.
So let's face it, looks funny.
Oh my god. The main character's name is Ryo, though. That's cool, because that's my middle name.
Ah.
Ryo. It's a game I can play.
Kris Ryo Chakahashi. Cool name.
Other than that, anything else that's got you excited from Gamescom?
I've really not been keeping up with games recently, just because I know that I can't play them.
Can we talk about Biomutant? Because I thought that game looked pretty cool.
I like the little
It looked
cute
a lot
thing.
like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Only with a like rocket raccoon doing kung fu as the protagonist.
It looks really cute. It just looks like a fun, frolicky game with lots
I
of...
want Wiz Tinker Tonker as a companion.
It's just so cute and fluffy.
It has like some interesting aspects. There's a narrator, first of all. So if you ever played Bastion,
Yeah.
it's kind of borrowing stuff from that. It has a little bit of style, like when you're punching people, it goes like wham, boom, like, you know, like Batman.
Wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
No, there's no furry sex in there. That I'm positive. Another trailer that came out was the Far Cry 5 trailer. I'm interested in the game because they're gonna have character creation. Any game that has character creation, I'm a fan of.
You
'Cause
know,
then they can have fun with that.
You know, I find that character creation can be a bit limiting. Like, you can't really let your imagination go there. Like, what if I want... And hear me out here. I know it's a bit of a crazy idea. What if I wanted to play a 30-year-old white straight guy? Would I be able to do that? I know it's a bit out there.
I don't
okay?
think so. I don't think so. I don't believe that they have that particular shade of skin.
That shade of mayonnaise.
Yeah. They never get that quite right, you know. They try and give you that option, but it always kind of ends up looking
right
like
kind
a
of
person of color instead.
undertones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not on. Come on, guys. It's 2017.
Please let me play as a
Straight white guy.
straight white guy. Just once in my life. I want to live that fantasy.
That's all I ever asked. This is the kind of representation I want in my video games.
With a very bland, generic voice, please.
No, it's got to be voiced by Nolan North. Come on.
No, that's true. Or Troy Baker.
Yeah, one of the two. I'm not
One
fussy.
is the protagonist, one is the antagonist. Yeah.
I'm not fussy. Either one will do.
I do think that any kind of character would work because you're fighting against what is it, like a cult, a religious cult?
Yeah.
So if you're like a big hulking black guy, that would probably be pretty threatening to these, like, I don't know what they're called. They're
Trump supporters.
that's fucked up.
No, cut that out.
Trump supporters. There you go. Yeah. So
Sorry, guys. We're trying
like,
to keep
it works.
from
It
being
works.
too political.
If you want to make a female character, it works because you know
You can play a
Trump
woman?
supporters.
I don't want to play
Yeah.
a woman. Ugh. It's just bending to
What
feminism.
kind of crazy notion is that? Ridiculous. Imagine that, a woman, or a woman of color, or
What?
an LGBT woman of color.
That's... Come on, mate. There's plenty of that kind of representation in video games.
But as cool as character creation is, I'm not really all that enthused about exploring like the environment of just like, well, I don't know, what is it, Idaho? It's just some like acres and acres
Alabama.
of farmland. Not to stereotype to our listeners in Alabama
Sorry.
and Idaho, but you have wonderful, wonderful fields of grain and potatoes.
And churches.
But yeah.
I am a fan of the dog mechanic, though. I want to have a dog. Any game is made 100% better by the inclusion of a dog.
Especially a useful dog.
Yes.
Like a dog you can send out there and like grab machine guns and bring them back to you. That's pretty cool.
We've nearly finished our playthrough of Until Dawn, and the only character that I want to survive is this wolf that you meet, who guides you through an asylum, and we accidentally killed it. Because your actions have consequences.
You horrible, horrible people.
I didn't mean to! We forgot to lock the door! We were being chased by the Native American spirits. And we forgot to lock the door, and so they ate the dog.
It's just like Sansa and Lady all over again.
Yeah. I'm sorry, lady.
Animals in general are usually awesome. I wonder if there's ever been like a stupid animal, like an animal that you hate. Like a terrible
don't think
companion.
It's possible to make an animal that you can hate in video games. Because, like, in real life, animals are better than people.
Yeah, that's true.
In every way.
All dogs go to heaven. That's a movie. There's a movie about that.
I got the reference.
You were just in silence because it was so amazing and such a great line.
Absolutely awestruck.
Speaking of humans debasing themselves, the mod I want to cover this week is called Eat It.
Eat it! Eat it! No one must eat the feeling.
By CobaltReptile. What this mod allows you to do, it's a mod for Skyrim, by the way, is eat anything in the world. Glass bottles, goblets.
Oh, shit. Yes!
I mean, because why not? If you can eat dragon souls, why can't you eat the bowl sitting on your table?
Now I want to roleplay as a carnival person who goes around just eating everything for money.
A broom, an ingot.
And for my last act, I will swallow this sword. If you want me to swallow some other swords, just meet me around the back.
Oh, but yeah, I mean...
We got pretty far without making a sex joke. We're like, what, half an hour in?
Yeah, we're making progress from our previous podcast. But yeah, I'm sure the objects also have nutritional value.
I mean, they're described as being salty or sweet.
Yeah, maybe if you eat a gold ingot, like coins will come out at the other end. You never know.
In the end, Tywin Lannister did shit gold.
Because obviously he had a really mod-friendly digestive system that could turn ingots into coins.
I mean, that would be the ideal kind of... Imagine, can you just imagine sitting on the toilet and plopping out, like, coin-shaped poo? It'd just be like the worst kind of chocolate coins.
It depends how it comes out. Does it come out sideways or does it come out like
it's coming
straight?
Out of a slot dispenser? Yeah,
see, that would be okay, but if it came out like sideways, that would hurt.
Like a gambling machine, just like...
Yeah. Does it make that sound? That pleasing sound?
It can just do the Charlie XCX thing. Ba-ding!
Yeah.
Ba-ding! Can you imagine just sitting on the toilet and then just suddenly... Ba-ding!
I can imagine it now, Alice, thanks to that wonderful visual.
It's a visual and audio sensation. Is audio a word?
But that would kind of like remind me of a dystopian world where people are just like strapped to toilets and forced to shit gold all day. Shit gold coins. There's like a factory of human slaves.
You know what you should do?
Strapped to toilets.
You should coin that concept. But
Actually, that concept has already been coined by a certain fried chicken seller.
Oh God, no. Okay, so we were contemplating about saving this for the Halloween special, but honestly, we just have to get it out of the way now. So KFC have decided that, You know what? How we should treat people who have to handle food that could potentially, if prepared incorrectly, give people food poisoning? We're not going to train them on actual chicken. We're going to put them through a VR extravaganza.
I think it would have been fine if it was just a normal tutorial, but
It's
instead
fucking terrifying!
instead they started to plop you into this dystopian nightmare where you're trapped in this metal box. Like, if you think about it, like being like a fast food worker or being at any job that's tedious is kind of like being in a prison in and of itself, right? But then to kind of double down on that and trap you into this like metal box where this disembodied voice of the Colonel, like Colonel
Hello
Sanders.
there! So, you want to learn how to make chicken. You can't escape from here until you learn how to make the chicken. You will never leave this
And he
bar!
sounds like a maniacal supervillain.
He sounds like Cave Johnson.
Yeah. It's crazy. It does remind me of a like Portal game. Like maybe they should have KFC do Half-Life 3.
I mean, I feel like there's more content to this VR simulation than there is to what we currently have of Half-Life 3.
To be honest, I would play that game, that KFC game, if I wasn't a worker. Like, I kind of enjoyed it from a surreal, like dystopian kind of game. There's a little bit of humor. There's a little bit of just like weirdness to it and like futuristic aspects with robots and stuff like that. But the fact that if I had to work there and I had to be reminded of the fact that I was trapped in this box, that kind of just puts a whole nother fucked up to it. It's just like, it's just too real.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Yeah. And then the funniest part, or the craziest, most scary part, I guess, if you are a KFC worker, is that after you complete the trial and you get out of the prison,
You wake up.
guess where you end up?
In the KFC break room, getting called to fulfill an order.
So you go from one nightmare to another, more or less.
It's horrifying.
It is horrific. I mean, there's certain aspects that are funny if it's a game, but if it's real, it's just horrifying and scary. Like if Cave Johnson existed, or if Portal existed in real life, GLaDOS would be terrifying.
Yeah.
GLaDOS is funny because it's a video game and it's not real.
Yeah,
it's
and
fantasy,
you're not
but
actually going to die.
yeah. If she's cracking jokes and my life is on the line and I am in this like fucking experiment, it is not funny at all.
No. That's where you draw the line.
Yeah. So, yeah. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. It is fucking terrifying. If you're a worker, but if it's a game, then please release it because I will play it.
We can do a let's play. It'll be great.
Bread that chicken. It was almost sexual the way those hands are just like rubbing that chicken.
There was a little baby chicken in there. I don't think it's going to be very good for actually training though. Like it doesn't really teach you how to
No, in
inspect
fairness,
the
I think they
chicken.
do. Yeah, they do actually have to do it in real life though as well.
But like you'd think they'd put into the game, okay, so this is a flaw in the chicken and we can't use that. Although to be saying that, like I've seen deep fried claws before, so you know.
Yeah. The training VR simulation isn't useful at all. It was just some like executive's idea to be hip and funny, and
Just had a load of
horribly
Oculus
backfired.
Rifts to get rid of, so he was like, you know what?
Yeah. Oh, he wanted free Oculus Rifts maybe, and this was his way of getting them. It was all a conspiracy.
Big companies. They're all in it together.
Petition them to make Half-Life 3, and it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Last thing, talk about Defenders. We're up to episode 2. I mean, you could skip ahead, or you
Yeah.
can come with us week to week.
I still have no idea what's going on.
Should we talk about Daredevil first? He's busy trying to kick the superhero habit, which I think is kind of dumb.
The guy who plays Daredevil's really hot.
Okay.
That's my
Alice
take.
with the important commentary here. Doesn't
Equal
matter.
opportunity
He's hot.
objectification.
He could do whatever. Yeah, I think it's kind of like that whole trope. I mean, they did this in Superman too, where he gave up his powers for Lois. In the old Superman, not the new ones, like the 1970s or 80s or whatever, whenever that movie came out. But it's kind of like a common trope where the superheroes like trying to kick the superhero habit. Like, it's almost like an addiction for them.
Yeah.
But I always find that kind of dumb because it's not like it's like crack cocaine or something like that. Like, being a superhero is awesome and good for society.
Yeah. Yeah, she's sacrificing personal happiness for
For the good of the people.
Yeah. It's an honorable thing.
It's like a guy trying to kick his addiction to the Peace Corps. Or a guy trying to kick his addiction to donating blood or doing charity.
Yeah. Just doing the charity.
And his friends are like telling him to stop. Like, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep donating blood and saving lives. Think about your friends.
Why are you on the organ donor list? Come on, man.
You're going to the Peace Corps again?
God.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable how you keep pushing people away.
You're tearing us apart.
I mean, if I'm a superhero and my friends aren't cool with it,
Fuck those
I'm getting
guys.
new friends.
Yeah.
Get
I'm
new
getting
friends.
superhero friends.
In fairness, the one friend he did make being a superhero, well, not just a friend, his lover, died and then was resurrected as a zombie killer, Elektra. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for spoiling Daredevil for me.
What are you talking about? You're watching Defenders. You're gonna have to see this eventually. You're gonna have to know this. Elektra is alive.
I think the reason why I'm so lost with the show is just because I'm not caught up with anything other than Jessica Jones.
Okay, but Jessica Jones is awesome.
Yeah,
move on to
she's
her.
my favorite part of the series.
Sassy as ever. You know what's great about her is that you can watch the full show and not know what her superpower is. Right?
Yeah. She's not really demonstrated any of her superpowers so far.
Yeah. I mean, she lifted that car, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But that was it.
That was just like a one-time gag.
For all we know, she could shoot like laser beams out of her tits or something.
Yeah.
But she doesn't need to. Because she's awesome.
Because she's clever and she has skills unrelated to superpowers. The powers are just an added bonus.
She commands your attention without having a glowing fist.
Yes. But she was wonderful. Awesome. They, I'd be happy if, honestly, this whole show centered just around Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
One because she's sassy and the other because he's hot.
Yeah, pretty much. And plus, Daredevil is already like a more engaging character to me than the other two guys. But,
yeah, well, Iron Fist is basically just a walking glowing fist who constantly whines and has like just a bunch of self-loathing lines. And
there was a nice bit of CGI with Iron Fist. Like the CGI on his fist is nice, I guess. Like that's pretty cool.
Again, nothing to do with his character, just his magical glowing fist.
I like how he at one point he was just like sat up on the shelf, just like perching like an owl. Just like
My favorite line was at the beginning where he's just like, "So what do we do? Form a team?" I thought he was gonna say a team of defenders.
Roll credits.
Oh my, he's so bad.
Yeah.
All he does is just whine and complain and
kind of like us.
Yeah. He would be great for a podcast, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Because of his self-loathing and whining.
I mean, let's invite him on as a guest. He'd fit in perfectly.
But as a superhero, I would rather see more of Claire, the night nurse.
I appreciated that he was getting beaten up. Yeah. He got a massive beatdown from Luke Cage.
That's the thing about Luke Cage, though, is that his superpowers are just the worst kind of superpowers. Just him standing there and being invincible.
Yeah.
It's like any fight scene with Luke Cage in it, it's just like the most boring fight scene because it's just a bunch of guys just hitting him and him standing there and then eventually deciding to punch back or something.
I did find it quite funny with the rubble from the earthquake at the end of last episode. He was moving it about and it was so clearly made of polystyrene. Just in the way, like, you can try and make it look weighty, but the way that he put it down, it was just like, yeah. That is not
squeaks.
heavy.
It squeaks because it's foam.
It was just like, come on.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, his powers are terrible, but his character, like, he does get to do some investigating, stuff like that. Him and Jessica Jones are sort of tied in that way, in that he does get to, like, do some human things. Like, show Luke Cage was about him embracing Harlem and embracing the
Yeah.
fact that he's their hero and protecting the citizens and things like that. Whereas Iron Fist is more about himself and how weird he is. I do enjoy Luke Cage as is more human elements,
Than him with his superpowers.
you know,
yeah.
engaging with the people as it was this whole superpower crap, which is very boring when you're an invincible
Yeah.
block. More or less. It's like one of those blocks in Super Mario. What do they call them? Where they like fall down?
Dicks.
No,
Oh,
they are
no.
not called dicks. What? Why would they be called dicks?
Because you can't break them. So they're dicks because they get in the
That
way of
makes
your game.
no sense at all. Dicks are very breakable.
I mean, I can't say that I've ever tried to break a dick.
Okay.
Like, when I see one, it's not really high on my list of priorities. You know?
Yeah.
I don't see one, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I want to break that in half. It's like, no.
Please don't. It's called the thwomp. Have you ever?
The thwomp.
Yeah, it's onomatopoeia.
Oh!
Because it goes thwomp.
hi.
And
Thwomp.
it looks nothing like a dick. FYI, if you never played Super Mario.
It's got little spiky dicks.
Sorry, that's not what a dick looks like. You've never seen a penis in your life if you think those triangles looks like penises.
Well, how do you know? They might be different
True.
across the pond.
Yeah, I've only seen my own penis and penises on the internet.
Is
porn
that
movies.
something that you look up frequently?
Yes, it is. My own penis, I definitely look up frequently on the internet. It's there if you can find it. It's not there.
Chris, Takahashi, penis.
You never know. There might be somebody who has my name, who has
Maybe.
done.
Maybe
porn.
there's a porn star, and then you can just be like, yeah, that's me, that's me.
There's like a gymnast with my name, a female gymnast, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you?
And a football
have you been
player as
lying to
well.
us the whole time?
Yeah.
And you are actually a lady gymnast.
Yes, I am. That's me. If you look up Chris Takahashi gymnast, you'll see me in all my glory. Oh, I'm a 1987 NCAA. Well, it doesn't say I'm a champion, but I competed in 1987 NCAA championships.
Were you old enough
Takahashi
then to compete?
Is first up on the university gym team, according to this article. I am
Oh, cool. You're a cooler guy than I thought.
lady.
You're a cooler lady than I thought.
But yeah, at the end of the episode, you know, we get two of the defenders meeting each other. Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and of course Matt Murdock and Jessica Jones.
Yeah, and that was the team up that I wanted. Because then I can just skip
Desperately.
through half the episode. I'm not going to do that. That would be rude.
But yeah, overall, what would you give it on a scale of Game of Thrones characters?
I'd give me a second. Do you want to go first while I think?
I don't have anything prepared.
Height of professionalism.
That's what editing is for.
No, I think we should just leave like this 2-minute gap of silence.
How about I just fill it with this? Okay.
Oh fuck no, I'm gonna give myself hiccups,
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a ghost, 'cause I'm lost. I don't know what's going on, I'm just staying out of it.
I am going to give it a Tyrion and Dany because Tyrion shows up out of the blue and advises Dany, whereas Matt Murdock also shows up out of the blue to help Jessica Jones, the true protagonist.
That's a fair comparison. Give Jessica Jones more screen time, please.
Yeah.
Just make the whole show a Jessica Jones sequel, and I'll be
Yeah,
happy.
Jessica Jones too. Less Iron Fist. The better.
Less Iron Fist, more Jess.
All right, so that's it for this episode of Lord Friendly. We will have another episode on Monday to talk about Game of Thrones.
Yes.
We decided to dedicate a whole episode to that.
To me whinging and complaining angrily.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna have to pull out some fucking stops to change my opinion of this season. Right.
It will. It will. I have faith. I don't have faith.
Gotta have faith.
Maybe if it comes out as a blog post. But yeah, so that's it. Say goodbye.
Do you want to put on the music again?
Sure, why not? Let me find it.
And with that, we say goodbye. Goodbye, folks, and have a pleasant Christian evening. So long.
So I noticed like there's things that YouTubers do to like bump up their subscribers.
Yeah.
One of them even went so far as to say they were going to release a sex tape if they hit 1 million subscribers.
Okay.
And I think they actually got to 1 million. And I don't know if they released a sex tape. I haven't really researched that far. I will research that later. But the point is, if you can create motivation to up your subscribers, then you might be able to do it faster than normal.
Okay.
So my idea for us to get to 10K subscribers, it's not a sex tape, don't worry.
I mean, I could voice one. I mean, I've done that before.
Yeah. You don't have to see either of us naked because, I mean, at least
Unless
personally
you want
speaking,
to.
yeah, that's not something you want to see, personally speaking. But we do make mods.
Yes.
It's not a sex mod, if that's what you're thinking. But we do have 2 major quests that are coming out. So what if I said, I am not going to release these quests until we hit 10K subscribers? Huh?
I feel like you're going to piss off a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you're going to be sat on that mod for a long time. I think we should stick with the sex tape.
There's no demand for new quest for Tales of the Commonwealth. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
There's 0 demand for that. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Right. How about 10K subscribers? We'll put in a law-friendly Easter egg, where if you go to a certain location, you can pick up.
Care about that.
You can pick up on a radio station playing our podcast on loop.
No. Absolutely no.
Oh, it could just be a station of me and you laughing, because we have great laughs, and it sounds ridiculous, so we could just have a station that's not on loop. If we get to 10K subscribers, guys.
That might work better. Have you ever seen that channel, that Poppy channel?
Oh.
Which is just surreal crap.
I am Poppy. Poppy.
I'm
Poppy.
I'm Poppy.
I am Poppy.
I'm Poppy. I'm Poppy.
I'm Poppy.
I'm
I'm Poppy.
Poppy.
It's 3:36. Oh no. What am I going to do at 3:36? Poppy.
Poppy.
Poppy.